Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. My name is Tina Calder from Calder Press. A big thank you goes out to Sinead at Mums at Work for inviting me along today. So today we're going to be talking about building your online persona, and we're going to just run through a load of slides and hopefully it'll give you some top tips. So let's get this started. So as I say, we're talking about building your online persona today. I suppose the best place to start is what on earth would she know? Who is this woman? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tina Calder. I've been a journalist for over 25 years. I now own my own business. I'm a corporate writer for about 15 years, former business editor. I'm a publicist of about 15 years. I even publish books and I've been an entrepreneur all my life. So I know where an awful lot of you are. I've also been a trainer for the last 6 years or more in everything to do with the communications industry. So my business is Calder Press. We are predominantly a publicity management, content creation and copywriting agency, but we are known for being a multidisciplinary agency. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And we have a business blog that you should check out. It's contentclub.excaliburpress.co.uk. You'll find lots and lots of freebies and resources. Top tip, if you head to either our Calder Press website or our Content Club website and go to resources, you're going to find lots of free resources that you can download on everything to do with marketing and communications. And we've uploaded a few new ones just recently. So I suppose where I want to start is my uncomfortable journey with moving to having an online persona. As you can see here in the left of the screen, this was my first ever profile picture on Facebook, and it's still there if you want to scroll back and have a look. And that was in 2007. As you can see, I was really embarrassed. I did not like this new thing called Facebook. I thought it was absolutely horrendous. I thought it would never catch on. Everything about it made me really uncomfortable. But back then, what I didn't realize was that I was suffering greatly from imposter syndrome. And for those of you who know what that is, you know that it is quite a battle when you've got that. So as you can see, I joined Facebook in 2007. Very quickly, I understood that this was a way for me to communicate with the world in a manner that wasn't gated by anyone else. No one else had control over how I spoke, where I spoke, what I spoke about. And I realized very quickly that this was going to be a wonderful medium for me. By 2009, I had started to understand that my online persona was going to be really important. But with that came my personality and came how comfortable I was about being photographed. I started to try and, join the club as such, and I dazzled it up a bit. I was a showbiz reporter back then. I was doing the parties, I was doing all of the events. If there wasn't a red carpet that I wasn't either on or trying to get on, and I was partying to all hours in the morning. Around that time, I had a little bit of a breakdown. I say a little bit, it was quite massive. And I realized that the industry wasn't working for me at the time. I blame it on Facebook, and I know that people laugh at this, but I think that what Facebook did for me is it opened a door to a world that I really wanted to be part of, that I wanted to be able to put my voice out there. Because of the dichotomy of being the person behind the camera, the person behind the story, and because of who I wanted to become, by 2009, I was having a breakdown. I wasn't enjoying being where I was. By 2010, I'd taken over a bar, and as you can see here, I was all over it. I was the publican. I had left the media behind for a while, and I was just enjoying myself in this new venture. By 2011, I'd started to really come out of my shell. You can see there I dyed my hair purple, blue, depending on what day it was. And by 2014, I realized that I was more comfortable in my skin. I was pregnant. No, I wasn't pregnant. I was 2 years. I thought I'd had my son 2 years by the 2014 picture. By 2016, I was experimenting a bit more with my look and how I felt. And then, as you can see here, the photos that were done in 2019, due to be updated when I lose a bit of weight, where I realized that I wanted to be someone different than that 2007 person. And all of this was about how I was crafting and creating this online persona, something that I felt so uncomfortable with, just 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. And so I wanted you to see that because I wanted you to understand that this isn't an overnight thing. It's not something that you can switch on unless you're already there, unless you're already sort of out there and you're really comfortable with it. There is a journey to go through. There is a real, I suppose, trek. And you've got to get comfortable with being really uncomfortable. And you've got to realize that at days like this, when things just don't look the way you want them to look, you've got to just get stuck in and do it anyway. I believe that a lot of this boils down to your story. I have a lot of stories to tell, and I do tell them very publicly. I'm probably not the only person that does that locally. What I would say is, when you're thinking about telling your story publicly, really be careful about what parts of your story that you want to put up there, because once it's out, you cannot take it back. But everybody does have a story to tell, and most people want to hear it. And you have to really consider that storytelling, it isn't a new concept at all. It has really stood the test of time. It's served us well throughout history. You can see here we've gone through hieroglyphics, we've gone into mosaics, in totem poles. This storytelling is weaved all the way through our the generations and our history. Here we can see tapestry telling a story. And of course, when our kids are young, we do everything that we can to instill story in them, the importance of connecting people on this emotional level. And so it's no wonder that we become obsessed with, social media and newspapers and magazines and content and TikTok and all of those kinds of things, because they're all based in story. They're all based in connecting humans with other humans. But the big thing that I think that you need to consider before you even think about building an online persona is, what is your why? Why are you doing this? What is the purpose of building an online persona? Most people, want to change the world in some way, shape, or form. That's why I stepped forward. I stepped forward because I realized that I could help people. I realized that the knowledge that I had gained over the years was slightly different than the knowledge that other people were giving. And I realized that the only way that I could do that was to step forward. And step forward was really hard. You might be driven by a grand vision, and maybe you're not. Maybe you just want to help a couple of people around the corner. That's fine. But identifying that purpose is a real large part of pinpointing this why, because when you get that why down, everything else slips into place. So as Simon Sinek in his book, Start With a Why, said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They want to know the why. I cannot recommend this book enough. It's a fantastic read. And I think that anybody in any industry can really relate to it. So let's look at Simon's wheel of the why. As you can see in the purple, everyone knows what they do. So we all know what it is that we do for a living. Many and most people will know how to communicate how they do it. So they might say, I create this piece of ceramics by using a special clay or whatever that might be. It's the process in which you do it. But very few people or leaders know why they do it. And that's at the absolute core. The absolute core of everything that you do is down to the why. Don't tell me it's about making a profit. That's a result, not a why. So questions that you need to answer are, what is your purpose? What's your cause? Do you have a cause? What's your belief around what it is that you do? Why does that business exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anybody care? If you can answer all of those things, you're getting very close to your why. Simon said that the goal isn't just to sell people what you have, it's to sell to people who believe what you believe. So you'll see that there's a growing trend these days for people to be willing to spend a little bit more money to get organic or vegan or gluten-free or cruelty-free or whatever those things might be. It might be that their climate change and sustainability policies are what drives somebody to go to a specific business. We'll take Apple as an example. So if Apple were like everybody else, they would say, we make great computers, they're beautifully designed, they're simple to use, and they're user-friendly. Well, doesn't mean an awful lot. This is an example that Simon Sinek used. But if we go to what Apple actually do, they say, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge that status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use and user-friendly. And we just happen to make great computers, phones, tablets, and laptops. So you can see there when you flip that script, whether you're a product, a brand, a service, or a persona, once you flip that script, it's much more engaging for people. Steve Jobs said the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come. So if we take what Simon Sinek is saying about the why, and we take what Steve Jobs says about the story, and we put those together, you've got a really powerful basis from which to then create everything else that's coming. Most people think, act, and communicate from the outside in. They go, what you do, how you do it, then potentially sometimes why. But if you're a really inspired leader, you'll communicate from the inside out, and that's what we want you to do. So you need to create that why statement. I use this down here. So I do what, by how you do it, because why you do it. And you'll be surprised how powerful that statement can be. Another one is to say, we want to do whatever so that something else will happen. So one is the contribution you make to the lives of others through the why, and the other one represents the impact of the contribution. So use one of those two statements to help you create, those two templates to help create that why. Once we've got that why in place, we've got the brand story coming in behind it, we're ready to get our online persona. So there's some things that you absolutely need to get you started. I want you all to sit back and think about 3 words that describe you, your brand, or your product or service. So the top one there, publicist, content creator, and copywriter, is the one that I'm currently using. It's going to change because I'm pivoting and moving and changing what I'm doing. Yours might be author, entrepreneur, speaker. It might be motivational coach, speaker, author. It might be recruiter, trainer, consultant. Maybe these are 3 words to describe your brand: exciting, luxurious, high-end. Those 3 words are so powerful because that's what people remember. They remember things in 3s. So pick the 3 things that you want people to know you for. And I mean, most 2 words per thing. Don't get all caught up in, big long things. Do you have a tagline? I really love taglines. Unleash the power of your words is the tagline here at Excalibur Press. And the reason behind that is everything that we do has a basis in words, whether that's creating a strategy for someone, whether that's creating a blog post or a social media post for someone. Everything that we do is grounded in the power of words. And that's why that's our tagline. But is there a tagline that you can create for your business? We want a really powerful about you. It's so important to get these right. I've read some and they're really sort of long and boring and, here's my life story. This is not your life story. Your about you is simply information that proves that you're the expert that you claim to be. And we're not talking about a CV here. We're talking about something that really galvanizes people into thinking, I want to connect with that person. They seem to know their stuff. Then we bring in your story. And your story is where you give all of that background information, and you can really weave in that why, how you got started, why you get started, where it all came from, how you got to be where you are today. That story helps to craft who you're going to be seen as. You might have a brand or a company in the background as well. So you want to get your about the company and about the brand or about the main product or whatever that might be, because it's really important that you have all of this information to hand. And maybe you have specific products and services. You want to nail those down as well. And I know people are like, oh, this is about creating an online persona for me. When I create my webinars, for example, the one most important thing that I do is I create a blurb for it, and I create a what you will learn list. And not just that, then I will do a press release, etc., etc. So I build everything out, but all of that is about building my persona, building who I am and bringing me to the fore. What is your mission? So your mission might tie very closely into your tagline. It'll tie quite closely into your why. This is about distilling it down. So for Lean In, it's we help women achieve their ambitions and work to create an equal world. For Thrive Global, we're on a mission to unlock human potential. I just love these there, and they're almost like taglines as well. So your mission statement can be slightly longer. Some people include their values in there, and some people keep them as short, and they might, their mission and their tagline could likely be the same thing. So how are we going to engage these audiences? How are we going to use the skills that we have to engage the audience online or offline, because that will feed your online persona as well? In no particular order, seminars and presentations, and of course webinars drop into this as well. So you might have a pre-existing campaign, you might be well known or respected in your field, and you might be invited to speak at a seminar, or you might have to actually go and ask people, can you speak? I'm always looking for guest speakers if it's right for the what we are doing. I know that we're going to be teaming up with Ruth Young of Ruthless Media in the coming weeks, months, and I'm really excited to do that because I think that Ruth's skills and expertise and the way in which she does business really complements what we do. So think about how can you get to present. Speak to Sinead, see if there's something that you can do for one of these sessions. And so you want to really put yourself out there and say, I have some expertise, I'm willing to share it. You could do that through TED Talks and TEDx Talks. It is important to understand that these are not about selling your business. These are about selling ideas. These are about thinking differently. Social media, of course. I mean, this is an obvious one. What's important, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, is how you engage on social media and how you use it on a regular basis to convey. Don't just wake up because you have a course starting in March and wake up in the middle of February and start connecting with your audience. You need to be connecting with your audience on a regular basis. Maybe you might want to publish. And publishing is much easier than you might think. We have a number of clients who publish ebooks and downloadables. We do the downloadables ourselves, but you can actually work with KDP, which is the publishing side of Amazon, or a small publishing company like ourselves, and you can put out your book. It might just be a how-to, it might be your memoirs, it might be something more academically based. It doesn't matter what that is. Have a think and see whether or not having a book could bolster or support the work that you do elsewhere. Think about broadcast opportunities. Don't underestimate the power of the broadcast media. I know that most of us are like, oh, snooze, UTV saw last year. It's not really. It's really important that you think about the traditional press in the same manner that you would with social and other online press. And that includes all aspects. So it could be YouTube, it could be TikTok. These are all broadcast opportunities. Depending on the type of persona that you want to build, this is more for the thought leaders. Being present and visible at public protests and events is an absolute must for you. This is not going to work for everyone. It's not really something that works for me, but I do speak quite publicly about things that I am passionate about. You can't expect to be respected by the people if you're not joining the cause at the grassroots level. So don't turn around and say that you are campaigning for change in suicide awareness, mental health, abortion, gay rights, whatever those things might be, unless you're actually joining the fight at grassroots level. It's really important that you're seen to be there. Video content is massive, and I hate this. I hate it because I don't like video content at all. I love doing webinars. I love, engaging with people on Zoom and in person and all of those things. But I do get a bit icky when it comes to trying to create content. And if you look at my TikTok, you'll actually see where I've tried it out and I've hated it and I've run away and I've stopped doing it. But if you feel relatively comfortable on camera, think about how you can use video content. The other thing is you don't always have to use video content with yourself in it. Again, check out my TikTok. I did experiment with some content that was just voiced over. And the great thing with the voiceover is you can do it on Canva. You can make the videos on Canva. You could do them on Lumen 5, for example. There's lots of different places that you can make quick and easy content. Websites and blogging is a really obvious one, but you want to build that online persona by really contributing to a wide range of platforms and media. When you're putting a blog up, make sure not only does it go on your own website, but then it goes on things like LinkedIn. So the LinkedIn articles, for example, or maybe you want to set up a Medium. I have a Medium account, and most of the content that we create here at Excalibur Press goes on to our Excalibur Press Medium account and also my own personal one. I don't do an awful lot with it, but it's a great way of just filtering more information online. And then there might be other people that you can team up with. Maybe there's some stakeholders that you're working with and get them to look at your blog. The SEO benefits are really, really big if you can get this right. Partnerships are an important part of getting a great online persona or any kind of persona. You might want to team up with charities, other companies, educational institutions. Maybe there's a social enterprise that you're really excited about. It's a really good way to reach new audiences. I am going to talk a little bit more about that later. Printed campaigns. I know that we think that this is not going to drive our online persona, but actually it does. So if you have the budget, if you have the ability, if it is right for you, think about banners and posters and flyers and business cards and all of those wonderful things. And again, books and magazines and being in reports, for example, if the government are asking for people to feed into certain reports, make sure that you're there if that's your expertise. Because what these things will do is they will have people Googling you. You might be able to include your LinkedIn, for example, or your website or whatever that might be. So I have a few secret weapons that I use along the way. I'm not telling you them all, but I'm telling you most of them. So here's some of my secret weapons, and these help me to keep on top of things, and they help me to create content, and they help give me, I suppose, the motivation to do more. So the first one is newsjacking and social jacking. We do have a blog on this in the Content Club, which goes into it in much more detail. But newsjacking is a term coined by David Meerman Scott in his book Newsjacking. So it's the process of adding your thoughts and opinions to breaking news stories. So you're basically just piggybacking on trends, and it's really an art. It's an art and a science of injecting those ideas into breaking news stories. It's the practice of aligning your brand with an event, and bringing it onto social is where social jacking comes in. Here's some great examples. When the iPhone 6 came out, there was it was bending or something. I can't remember what it was. But Kit Kat came out and went, "We don't bend, we break," and they used it as a way of engaging with their followers. Oreo, what flavors do you think they're hiding in Area 51? There was a story at the time in relation to Area 51. American Airlines, we're on board. Diversity strengthens us all, and to celebrate marriage equality and the landmark Scottish decision. And then again, Dunkin' Donuts. It doesn't matter if it's blue, white, or white gold, or blue, black, or white gold. It's still delicious. So these are all linked very directly with specific news stories. Now, these are great examples of brands who are jumping on the bandwagon and doing it really cleverly. However, I put a post up on Facebook last night in relation to the film The Imitation Game by Alan Turing, who was the mathematician who really saved the war. He decoded the Enigma machine. He then managed to decrypt lots of German, I suppose, communications. As a result, they shortened the war by about 2 years. He saved millions of lives. But because he was gay, he was then prosecuted after the war for being homosexual, and he took his own life about a year or two later. Now, interestingly, I posted up my thoughts on that last night, and someone said to me, "Did you know it's LGBTQ History Month?" And I didn't. Now, had that have been relevant to my business, for example, had I have worked had I been working very directly with the LGBTQ plus community and campaigning, then that post would have been a really good way to news or social jack and to make it relevant. It just so happened that I accidentally was relevant, but there's loads of great ways for you to figure out. So for example, you might work with young people with autism, and you might then look for Autism Day or, you know, Mental Health Month, whatever those things might be. Another one is hashtag journal request and hashtag media request. You can find these on Twitter predominantly. So as you can see here, Madeline Howell, she is a lifestyle writer for The Telegraph. She was looking for people in the food industry pivoting to help their communities who have been doing great things during lockdown. We have Emma Shepherd from The Guardian, BBC and Wired. She was looking for young entrepreneurs who are making changes to their business post-COVID-19. And then we had Clodagh Rice, BBC Northern Ireland correspondent, wanting to know what shops in Northern Ireland are you most looking forward to reopening. This was after lockdown. And Rosie, who's a freelance journalist, was looking for business experts to talk about how to get the company back to the new normal. Here was Hattie Gladwell. She's with Metro, Cosmopolitan, Healthline, you name it, and she's looking to speak to a mental health support worker. So those are all fantastic ways. If you keep, basically what I say is, what you do is you respond to these with, you know, some content, and then you use that content for your own socials as well. Harrow is Help a Reporter Out. I signed up to this about 2 months ago, and confession time, I haven't been able to keep up with every single one, but that's okay. So this is what it looks like. Oh, there we go. So the website, you sign up as a source, and as you can see here down at the bottom, you'll see how the emails come in. Now it depends on what you click on. I click on everything because we use it for clients as well. So just today, I took a look to see what things they were asking for. They were asking for interior design trim trends. They were looking for a hairstylist. They were looking for digital strategies that real estate agents are using, or estate agents as we call them, and divorce lawyers. And so basically what you do is you reply to their query with your comments. But what I do is I take that one step further. I keep a file. And every time I type out a response, I put it into my file. I then use that file to create social media posts at a later stage, because this, whilst you might not get featured in these publications, it's a great way to kind of spark the motivation to write different posts. So I love it for that. That's what I mainly use it for. Google Alerts, keeping on top of your industry is really important, and seeing what other people are putting out there and how they're putting out their things out there are key. Now, I can't show you my current Google Alerts because there's lots of clients in there and stuff, but this is the one that is still going today, that I set up back when I was a journalist. This was my secret weapon. No one knew about this back then. We're talking maybe 12, 13, 14 years ago. And I was using Google Alerts to find out where all the Northern Ireland celebrities were doing. And people couldn't understand how I knew that Van Morrison was playing a festival with, you know, Bob Dylan in the back end of Beyond in Canada. They were like, how are you getting this information? I was like, oh, sources, totally sources. I just had Google Alerts on everybody, on absolutely everybody. A couple of tips with Google Alerts. Number one, put a Google Alert on for your name, put one on for your company and your product. It just helps you to see, you know, what's hitting and where it's hitting. Always put them in inverted commas. You can see there below that I have done that. Otherwise, take that one at the top, Brona Waugh. I would have got every Brona and every Waugh and every Brona Waugh. So you want to put that into inverted commas. I put all my clients in there. I also have one set up, I think it was white paper and digital media or social media or something like that, because I knew the government were about to bring out a white paper on social media usage. And so I wanted to make sure that I got that, and it did. It came through and I was able to capture that information. So different things like that, you might want to put some Google Alerts on for your industry or specific things that you like talking about. We do have a blog on this. It just goes into a bit more detail. So working with other people is also incredibly important. I cannot stress this enough. The collaboration is the key to success in today's modern business landscape. So the first way we do that is called trading up. And trading up is where you take one brand or persona and you trade them up with one that is technically more famous or more well-known. Ed Sheeran did this with Taylor Swift and vice versa. Ed wasn't very well known in America, so they collaborated and Taylor brought him the fame in America, and he did the same for Taylor here in Europe and the UK. Collaboration is where you work together with someone who is on the same level as you, so you're both bringing the same amount to the table. A great example is when you took the world's greatest footballer with the world's biggest children's charity and you put them together. And another example is when you took one of the world's biggest rock bands, U2, and put it together with Apple. The other thing you want to think about is guest blogging. Where can you guest blog? Where can you send your content to? Where can you add value? As you can see here, there's lots of ways of doing that, but make sure that the content is value adding to the client that you're sending it to the publication you're sending it to, or the website. And you'll see one here from Michelle Tyson at Tyson Wilson Recruitment. And when she was talking about generalized recruiting no longer sufficient for the growing hospitality sector, mine was about storytelling. We've got one here from Chio at Oranga and one from Emma Bricknell at Made in Belfast. All of those appeared on different publications or on different websites that weren't their own. And there's another couple of examples as well. You want to make the most out of this content. Once you've created a piece of content, in order to build your online persona, you want to use it in as many different ways as possible. So you want to repurpose it where you can. You can turn it into a podcast, you can turn it into a blog, into social media content, you can go and speak it at an event, you can turn it into a webinar, whatever that might be. You want to be looking at how can you take the content that you've created and put it out there in lots and lots of different ways. And here's an example of one of those blogs that we've seen, and it's appearing in several different places. So another tip is to be social. If you're going to be on social media, you may as well be social. What I would say is remember that social media is more than just Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. As you can see here on the top left-hand side, you've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and WhatsApp. And that's what we kind of like, oh yeah, that's social media. It's not. As you can see, there are many, many other places, even looking at Yelp, Google My Business, Quora, Yahoo, all of these places are places to be social, are places to connect with other people. Now, it's really important that you don't focus on trying to do them all. Very seldomly can anyone do them all. So I work on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I have a Google account. I have a Pinterest account that I don't use. I have a TikTok account that I don't really use. I have a YouTube account that I sort of use. We post on Medium. Some of our articles arrive on Google News. We tend to use Quora a little bit, but not as much as we should. So there, as you can see, there's lots there. Google My Business, we're also all over. So do think about, this is a much bigger world than you think it might be. You want to be seen, be available, be accessible, and be helpful. So post regularly to your social media, and don't make it just sales posts. I don't need to tell you that. Everyone knows that. Answer questions, be helpful, and don't expect anything in return each time. So when you're engaging in groups and forums, make sure that you're as helpful as you can be. And see this idea of gatekeeping your expertise. Forget it. That was back in the days when people couldn't access the information. What was happening back then was you would gatekeep the information that you have for fear of not being paid to give it. See now, people can get it themselves, so they don't really need you. So what you're selling is you as the conduit. You are the conduit. You are the brain that pulls the information together and spits out additional or alternative thinking. So don't worry. I mean, today I could have easily ran this session and not told anybody about Journal Request or Harrow or Google Alerts or any of those things, because they're technically little secrets that I work with, but anybody can find those out by Googling. Refer business to other people and tag other people. So what I do, some of you might be in the Northern Ireland Business Group on Facebook, or you might in Mums at Work, for example. If somebody comes on and says, I'm looking for someone to do social media advertising, and this would happen quite a bit. First thing I do is I always recommend the person that I use, or the person that I think would be the best person for the job. And in this case, it's one of our fellow Maws, Ruth Young from Ruthless Media. And so I would tag, and if somebody is looking for, I don't know, someone to sharpen knives or scissors or something, I'll tag my sister's boyfriend's business. I will tag, you know, my clients and things. I will tag friends, etc., etc. Somebody's looking for children's entertainment, I will tag a former client, Montgomery Entertainments, because those are the people that I know, or I'll tag Kieran, who does the superheroes, or, you know, so I will literally just tag every time I think that I know somebody who could do it. Somebody's looking for cakes, I tag my best friend. But what that does in return, number one, it has my name popping up all over the place. Number two, it shows people that I'm trying to be helpful, because I genuinely am. I've got the information, I may as well give it to other people. And number three, it makes people remember to tag me when they see things that are relevant to me. Sometimes it gets a bit embarrassing. I've done it so much that I get so many tags, and I'm like, that's a bit embarrassing. But I get a lot of work through this, and it has built my brand quite substantially. Comment on those threads, use your expertise, show people your experience, show them who you are. It's really important that you do that. Don't just creep around on social. If you want to build an online persona, you've got to be there. You've got to literally be in front of them. Don't hide. Let people see who you are, and nobody likes a faceless business. If you've got a social media page or profile that doesn't have your photo on it, change that immediately. No pictures of dogs, or the last time you dressed up as a witch for Halloween, or, you know, I get people want pictures with them and their kids. That's absolutely fine, as long as people connect to you, the person. You know, I'm done with these, you know, some people have flags, some people have emblems, some people have, you know, just random things. Get your photo up there. I mean, it'll take 2 minutes to take one. Being seen is one of the most important things in building a persona of any kind. Think about Google My Business and Bing Places, for example. Make sure that you have added all of your business details on there, and use the posting facilities on Google My Business. Depending on what sector you're in, you might want to utilize things like Community NI or other community listings organizations. I love Community NI. We share events on it, we share news. Now, the news is very relevant to community groups and third sector. I don't go on there and go, who wants to buy a mobile phone, if that makes sense. Wikipedia, notoriously hard to get into, notoriously hard to get your pieces approved, but it is a really great way to start building that online persona. Online business directories, here's just a load of them that we popped our company onto in the last probably the last 6 months or so. So we're just constantly looking for online business listings, places where we can get our content on there and get a backlink to our website. The other thing that we do, we Google our competitors. We see where they're featured, we see where they're listed, and then we make a checklist and we go through it, and then we add our business, or we find out whether we can contribute, and we do that every 3 months at least. And it's really important. I think it's a great way. Or it doesn't have to be your competitors, it could be like companies. So that could be companies who are, you know, I suppose in the same space or the same size as you or something like that, but just find out where other people are getting exposure. And use your Mums at Work. If you're a Mums at Work VIP subscriber, there is so much stuff in here that you can utilize. If you're not, do consider it. You know, it's like £6 a month there or something. Honestly, I don't even see the payment going every year. So I hope I'm up to date, Sinead. You can also grab affiliate links for joining Mums at Work VIP as well, and you can earn through that. I really should have popped mine on here, but I didn't. Anyway, so as you know, there's the Mums at Work group, and then there's the Mums at Work VIP group. Do utilize those groups where possible to connect with people and to show your expertise and to give advice. I love this feature of Mums at Work. It really does help with that online persona. So as you can see here, there's lots of spaces where you can send emails to the entire list. Here's one that I created with my webinar, and I was able to just create it as a blog post, and I popped it out there. So you can put it into the VIP lounge if you're a VIP member, or maybe you just haven't introduced yourself to the group yet. You can pop it in there too. There's lots of people looking for collaborations. Do keep an eye on that. I think I might have responded to one very recently. And then of course you've got the news section that Sinead is constantly updating. And don't forget to make sure that your business directory Mums at Work listing for VIP members is up to date. I just think that you've got this resource sitting right there. It's a great way to help you build that online persona. You want to make sure that you use it. The other thing that I think that you need to do as you're going along this journey of building your customer persona, your online persona, is you want to think about what the customer journey is of the people who you're engaging with at every step of the way. We use an 8-point customer journey here at Excalibur Press. So we start off in the awareness and interest phase. This is where people just find out a little bit more about who we are and what we do. And they think, oh, I'm a bit interested in that. So they consider whether or not they want to engage with the business. When they're at the evaluation place, they've maybe had a call with me, they've maybe asked for some prices, and at that point they decide whether they'll purchase or not. We then go on to service them as a client, and hopefully if they're happy with the work, they become loyal and they will repurchase again. And at that point, they may also become advocates for the business. So do think about when you're communicating, who you're communicating to, and where in the customer journey they are. This is kind of not directly related to building an online persona, but I do think it's important for people to think about this when they're creating content online. Think about how your customer feels about you. So what do they think about you right now? And how do you want them to feel if they connect with you? So I imagine that some of those customers that have never connected with me are maybe a little bit lost, overwhelmed by communication. They don't know where to start when it comes to their marketing. They just don't have the time, the energy, the resources, and they just are exasperated by how things are, and they're like, how am I going to get on top of this? What I want is once they've engaged with me, that they can go, wow, I don't need to worry about any of that. Tina's got that in hand. Tina's team will fix that and sort that out. So I want to take them from that being overwhelmed or under pressure or whatever that might be, and I want to let them focus on the things that are important to them. What we are selling every time that we post on social media, whether it's a direct sales post or not, we're selling a transformation. We're taking people from a less desirable state. It might be I have no decking out the back on the garden and we really want to have a barbecue in the summer. It's a mess. What am I going to do? The transformation is that you're selling them some decking. But actually you're not. You're selling them the ability to have a barbecue with their family. You're bringing them into a more desirable state. You're selling transformation. You're not selling a product or a thing or a service or an idea. You're selling transformation every single time. I'm hungry, I buy food. I transform from being hungry to having a full belly. I need to get from A to B. You're not selling me a taxi fare or a bus fare. You're selling me the transformation from my less desirable state, which is being at home, to my more desirable state, which is being at the theatre, for example. You want to tap into the psychology as you go along the way. People mostly engage with you for emotional reasons, but they also want to back that up with logic every time. They want to make sure that you have the product and service to back up. So I use the example of a shoe lover. They go into a shoe shop and they see this beautiful red, sparkly, gorgeous pair of shoes, and they fall in love. They absolutely fall head over heels, pardon the pun, with these shoes, and they want them. And they go, I need these shoes. I need these shoes in my life. What the brain will automatically do without even realizing it is your brain will automatically go, okay, what do I need these shoes for? And your brain will say things like, oh, you've got a wedding coming up, or you've got you've a big event coming up with work. Oh, I could wear them there. They'd be great for going out on Valentine's Day. Oh, I have that big event coming up next year, and they go really well with my new dress. And so what happens is the brain starts to go, yes, emotionally, we're all there. But then it starts to go, and here's all the really normal, good, important reasons that you need these shoes. And that's what helps us make the decision to buy. So you want to tap into that psychology and make sure that you hand people that logic. What is that logic? So thank you, everyone. That's everything that I have for you today in relation to building your online persona. I think what the most important thing to realize is that unless you have your why, unless you have that brand story, and unless you have that infrastructure sorted, building an online persona is going to be very hard. Building an online persona is about being there. It's about being available. It's about being seen, and it's about being accessible to those who want to connect with you. It's hard work, and sometimes you are going to find yourself sitting on the bus trying to update. You might even find yourself sitting on the toilet answering questions, whatever it might be, whatever it takes. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Don't be afraid by it. It is really difficult to put yourself out there for the first time. It's really difficult to go from one persona to another as well, to pivot, to have people see you as something slightly different. And we can help with any of that. If there's anything that we can help with at all, please don't hesitate to give us a shout. For those of you who don't know what a multidisciplinary media agency does, here's everything that we have delivered over the last year or two to our clients. So everything from a PR and publicity management strategy to social media planning, content creation, the management of it, the strategy, content, blogs, downloadables, ebooks, copywriting such as reports or websites or staff handbooks, product listings, you name it, even emails. We do sales emails, full campaign management where we just take over everything, general communications advice, support and management, and sometimes that will include crisis comms. We do training in all areas of communications, marketing and digital media, and we do a lot of consultation and or mentoring for in-house teams. So really helping you upskill. We do videography, photography, graphic design. We've even done some podcasts for people as well. We have a team that does some website development design. We obviously do the copywriting as well and the project management of that. We do ongoing management of websites and content and social media, Google advertising. And one of the things that I love the most is we look after thought leadership strategy and advice and help people deliver thought leadership campaigns. And that's where building your online persona comes in as well. Don't forget to check out the Content Club and make sure you grab those free resources from the website. And you can connect with me at tina@excaliburpress.co.uk. And there's my number, my LinkedIn and my the website. If you want to connect with me on social, LinkedIn or Facebook is the way to go. I very rarely am in my Instagram, and I'm really sorry if I've missed stuff. I will get better at that. But thank you all so much for joining me. And if you've any questions at all, please do follow up with me. I would be more than happy to answer them. And once again, a big massive thank you to Sinead for having me with Mums at Work. And of course, don't forget to use the Mums at Work network for helping you to build that online persona.